Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to The Landing. Hello, and welcome back to The Landing. Today, we are joining a lady who tells a story of dedication, competitiveness, and the love of the game. Our guest is Miss Leanne Chadwick Peppers, a woman who not only has made her mark on many fields and courts as a player, but has also spent years shaping the next generation as a coach. From early mornings at the ballpark to mentoring young athletes, her journey is one of a deep connection to sport. We'll talk about some highs, some challenges, and the impact of sports on community and character. So listen in to my fun reunion with Leanne, who proves that the game is about more than just wins and losses. It's about heart, leadership, and giving your all. Hello, and welcome back to The Landing. We are going to really be entertained today, I think. We've got a great conversation ahead with somebody who I have loved all her life. She is someone who, when you hear her name, you think athletics, not just on the diamond, but on the court as well. But we are going to send it over to her and have her tell us her name and where she's from, who her crowd is. But when you hear this voice, I have a feeling you're going to recognize it.
All right. Leanne Chadwick Peppers from Harker's Island originally. Parents, Ann and Kenny Chadwick, descendants of the Rose generation. So grandmama was one of 14.
Wow.
So I'm probably related to whoever's listening to this.
Probably. Yes. So, this you heard it right. This is Leanne Chadwick Peppers. I jokingly say my husband and I adopted her a long time ago. She was our firstborn, and she has been in our home many, many times through the years. And most of the time, Leanne, do you agree with this? Most of the time, it was before or after a ball game of some sort, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or a practice, at least.
Well, it was because we were always with you.
We were always together. That's right. We were together doing those things. So Leanne has agreed to come spend some time with us this morning and talk about her career, her experiences with especially softball. February, of course, is the time of year when that sport comes alive, and it always was so cold at the beginning of softball season, and we have some memories and stories to share about that too. All right, so Leanne, let's dive right in. When did you start playing softball?
My first memories are around middle school age, playing Babe Ruth for Barbara Yeomans.
Barbara Yeomans, yes. And if you are from this area and know anything about Babe Ruth, then you have heard that name for sure. So you were with her earlier teams then?
Yes. So I think she probably started around the time her daughter Beth played. And she's a couple years older than me, maybe 3 at the most probably. And I think it was around probably my 6th grade year.
Okay. And do you remember, because you hadn't played, when we were growing up, we didn't have T-ball. Kids didn't start playing when they were 4 and 5. So what was your ability level? Like, how was it when you started? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I remember we were all pretty good. So she must have taught us a lot real quick.
Yeah.
Because we had some pretty good teams.
You had some very good teams. I remember when that was starting up, I was so envious because I was away then. I was in college. But hearing about it, because just like Down East does everything, it was definitely surrounded with a lot of love and a lot of support from all the communities. And I remember getting stories and reports about Down East softball. And I mean,
wouldn't you kind of say that that's when it kind of started? I mean, like with her doing that?
She was definitely the catalyst for Down East.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing the different communities, and she was our coach for Harkers Island. But when we came together to make what you would now call an all-star team, all the communities, she was our coach.
She was the coach. Yeah.
Her and Little L.
Her and Little L. Oh, me. And didn't they love it? Do you remember the positions that you played and all of that kind of?
Always growing up, I played second and short.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever remember playing anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I know you as too. And like team names, that kind of thing?
If I remember correctly, we were the Sluggers. I'm pretty sure our uniforms were blue.
Mm-hmm.
Not positive about that. But we were the Sluggers. And I believe that we still had the Sluggers jerseys when we played in Florida.
Oh, yeah? When did you all go to Florida?
So it had to have been around that same time when I started. Mm-hmm. Because I don't remember playing rec ball after high school. Mm-hmm. Like, nowadays they play travel ball and rec ball right on until they're 18.
Yeah.
Back then, we stopped once we started school ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would have had to been somewhere between 93 and 95, probably.
Yeah, when you went to Florida. And when you went to Florida, was that was a World Series type thing? What was it?
I would guess it would probably have been a regional tournament back then.
Okay.
I don't know where the World Series would have been, but
mm-hmm.
It was probably second round maybe.
Mm-hmm. And you all raised the money and
chartered a bus, stayed in a hotel with the doors that opened to the outside.
I love it. But yeah, like, and I remember, I wasn't here, but I remember hearing all of this. I mean, it was such a thing that everybody talked about, and everybody was so proud of the girls. And
it was a big deal. I don't remember teams going that far prior to that. Mm-hmm. And obviously they have since then. We just last year had a team go to the World Series. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's still a big deal around here.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And it's like it's in our genes or something, because you mentioned learning quickly. That's how it was. I mean, I remember when I was in middle school, we didn't have a team, but we would play, with PE and stuff. We didn't know what we were doing, but we would go get the ball and do it. I mean, like we were good. There were good games. So then when you played Babe Ruth with Barbara, then that would have led you into high school ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you played throughout all 4 years when you were at East Carteret. At the time, and of course, I guess they still do, East Carteret has JV and varsity?
They did not last year.
Okay.
I don't think they had enough girls for two teams. Mm-hmm. So they just combined for one. I don't know about the year before that. But it's been hit or miss, I think, for the last few years.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of schools are kind of feeling that. But when you were there, of course, they had JV and varsity. I hear you had a wonderful JV coach.
Yeah, her name was Stacy Baston.
You sure did. Yep, I was your JV coach. And, of course, Daryl, my husband, he was our assistant.
He might have been our favorite.
He might have been, yeah. What would you call him? Big Daddy?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. And yeah, Big Daddy and Little Mama. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we had so much fun. Oh my goodness. Think of the girls that we had on that. We had a good team. Do you remember some of the names?
So Lori Willis played. Mm-hmm. That's the first one I think of.
Oh yeah.
Now I've got to try to remember JV from varsity.
I know. Well, all kinds of run together. Anybody, well, disclaimer here, you could have played varsity. Right. Yeah.
So my freshman year would have been like Jody Daniels, mm-hmm. Stephanie Fulcher, Laura Taylor played in rec. I can't remember if she played high school or not. They would have been the year older than me, so that mm-hmm. would have been your freshmen and sophomores.
Sophomores, yeah.
I think Allison Lewis, who's now a Struck.
Yeah.
She played. Rachel Frivance played.
Yes.
God, I can't think.
We had such good.
Ashley. I think Ashley Surface might have played.
She did play.
I'm trying to think who caught for us. Didn't Mandy?
I believe.
Mandy Fulcher, didn't she catch
Mandy
for
did
us?
Catch. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We We had some pretty good ballers.
We had some good ballers. Y'all made it look like I knew what I was talking about. Of course, I did play softball at East Carteret. I will say that. Funny story. Because when we were playing, of course, this is slow pitch that we're talking about.
Yes.
And when I went through East Carteret, of course, it was slow pitch. Well, I wanted to play, and I was a lower classman. We only had varsity team, and at the time, the coach said, "Does anybody here pitch?" And this was Mr. Don Capel was our coach, and he's like, "Does anyone pitch?" Well, I was attentive and looked around, and nobody's hands went up, Leanne. Nobody.
So yours did.
So my hand went up. And I'm like, thinking to myself, how hard can it be, right? So he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, Stacy, come over here." And then he finagled a couple others. And so then we had to show him. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I had played PE, on the island. So I went and pitched, and it was the right arch, and I looked like I hadn't fibbed. I think I have confessed this to Mr. Capel since then. Anyway, so I went home and I told Daddy, I was like, we got to do something. And so he fixed me all kinds of things, like for me to practice pitching over for different arch levels and different how to hold the ball and buckets, to pitch in, because he didn't want to have to be the catcher all the time. But anyway, so that's, but I started because I knew how to pitch. But when we were playing slow pitch, things were changing a little bit when you were coming in.
Yep. So I think my junior year is when they transitioned to fast pitch.
And I remember that year when we were making the schedule, it was getting harder and harder. The year before that, we played all slow pitch, but it was hard to make a schedule because a lot of other high schools were going to fast pitch. So that year we had a modified schedule where we played about half and half, maybe 4 or 5 were fast pitch. I know from my standpoint, the coaching standpoint, like how daunting that was to think of switching to fast pitch. How do you remember that as a player, how you felt?
I remember being intimidated at first. I mean, the speed of the ball coming in is extremely different.
Yeah.
But I was pretty quick. So stealing bases was something I loved.
Yes, you didn't mind sliding.
No, I didn't mind getting dirty.
No, you did not.
But the thought of being able to steal bases playing, I was like, if I can find a way to get on, I'm healed.
Yep. And most of the time you did. You were
that was pretty much my bread and butter because I wasn't going to hit it over the fence. Still can't hit it over the fence.
Oh, but you could get on there. But yeah, I mean, the rules were different. Everything was,
it was a different mindset.
It was a totally different mindset. Much more aggressive. And when you think about the players that you named, one thing that I loved about being with you girls was how laid back everything was. Think about it.
We had fun.
We had fun. We would laugh. We had fun. Everybody was chill.
We would drive your car from the school to the ball field.
Quit telling on me. That may have happened a few times.
It was on the campus. No laws were broken, I don't think.
No laws were broken. I think it still was. But anyway, we had it was a fun group. It was a really fun group. So it was a great time to make that change, I think. Don't you?
I do. And I think that group too was willing to work and learn.
Yes.
I don't know of any of us that didn't stick with it after the transition.
No, that wasn't something that we were even afraid of as coaches. Like that wasn't part of it. It was just like, oh me, now we've got to learn all these rules and how to do this. And we mentioned this a little bit before we even got started, pitching. And that's why I kind of told my story. I could raise my hand and say, yep, I can pitch and go there and fake it till you make it. And there are techniques, but there is no way in this world I would have raised my hand for a fast pitch softball team.
We were very fortunate, though, because some of the parents saw the writing on the wall.
They did. And what do you mean by that? Share with us.
So Curvis Guthrie had his daughter Laurel working on pitching fast pitch prior to us switching over. So what would have probably set us behind did not. She came in knowing what she was doing, and she was darn good.
She was very good.
Tall and lanky.
Uh-huh. And she could sling it. I mean, and that is an integral part of fast pitch softball.
I mean, I think she came in as a freshman and was pitching for us for varsity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There was no way they were going to let JV keep her.
No.
No. Pitching, it's amazing to watch. My daughter Darcy pitched for years and years and years, and it is something that I still love to watch her do.
If you have a good pitcher, some of the other things can slack off a little bit. You don't want it to, but if you have a good pitcher, they can get you out of a lot of binds.
Yes, they can. But the weight on the pitcher's shoulders is heavy.
Yeah, but you never saw it.
And that's part of what a pitcher has to be able to do. If they have to shoulder it and let it roll off of them. Yeah. It's just interesting. And it was really a blessing that the parents did see the writing on the walls. Because it was happening. It was happening around us. And we knew it was going to trickle down to us eventually.
Well, Lori might listen to this and be mad at me. But if you'd had to get me and Lori to do it, it'd be a bad time.
I don't think Lori would be mad at it. I think she'd say, definitely. I do love me, Lori. Did she have us laughing so many times?
She's still funny.
Oh, hilarious. Okay, so we went through and you all transition. Of course, then I started having babies and left. And but you played fast pitch for the remainder of your high school.
We did.
And you were competitive.
We made it to the second round, I want to say, of the state. I don't remember going past that, but, I mean, it was still a big deal.
That's a very big deal because
most of those schools had already been doing fast pitch for years.
Yeah, we fought it for a while, as long as we could. And, yeah, but it gave them the bigger hand there, but we're still competitive. And we've always been.
Softball's been the sport of Downey. Softball and baseball.
Yes,
That's what we're known for, and we're still known for that.
Yep. When you hear it, like Darcy, because we were living in Lenore County, and when they would play All-Stars or whatever, and they'd say Down East, she would always say, oh.
I think that still happens.
Oh, not Down East. Oh, man. Okay, so then when you left high school and went to college, you played?
I played women's league rec.
Yes, you did. And, okay, funny story. Our paths crossed again. You actually started playing women's league before you were out of high school because there was a rule that said that the players had to be 16 years old. And
my birthday's in November.
Your birthday was in November. I remember it well because we started Uncle Woody with Hancock.
And grandson, right?
No.
Just Hancock.
Hancock, yeah. And we begged him to sponsor the shirts. And
Like they gray?
Yes. Yep. And it was like $250 or whatever to sponsor a team because I was missing it. I wanted to play. And so we begged. And he said he would do half. He would do one sleeve. So I don't even remember who the other sleeve was because it was only that first year. And then we did so well and we're so competitive.
He's like, I'm all in.
Yeah. He after the championship game that season, it was us against Rose's Seafood.
Didn't we have to play multiple games? The year we had to play multiple games to win it?
That was the next year. We had to come from the losers bracket.
Because that was the longest night in history.
Oh, my goodness. We played 3 games that night, and the lights went out. Do you remember that? And we were sitting there for 40 minutes.
And we had to wait for them to come back on because they don't just come on.
No. We were sitting in the outfield, like in the dark. But anyway, Uncle Woody came up to me after that, put his arm around me. He says, Stace, you're mine next year. I'm doing it all. And we were Hancocks the rest of the time. But I regressed because I knew that you turned 16 in November. So you were on the roster that spring. And I remember it confused a lot of people because you were still in high school and we were like, she's legal.
I'm legal.
She's legal. And Lori played with us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I
don't even remember everybody else though.
No, it was hard because a lot of players were on Roses already, adults.
Yes.
And so we had like Susie played with us and Angie.
I started to say, did Angie Davis play?
Yep, she played. oh my goodness, I can't. I could see everybody so well.
No, she was on Roses. I was gonna say Shannon.
Yeah, no,
She played on Roses.
She was on Roses, but you and Lori, didn't Allison play or did she not? I don't remember.
I think
if
she did at
not.
least 1 year.
I think she did 1 year, and I can see everybody's that's listening. They're going like, I can't believe you forgot me.
I know. It's hard.
I see everybody.
Because after Hancock stopped, I played with Atlantic.
Yep, Anne-Marie played with us.
But then Anne-Marie went.
Gaskell.
Didn't she go to Roses?
I don't know.
Because I think I played against them at some point.
Yeah, maybe so. Because I ended up moving after a while.
I played with Stephanie and Jody and Lori and her sister Jenny, and all of us played with Atlantic.
Yeah, she played with Atlantic. That's right. But oh my goodness, do you remember though the games against Miss Alice and Monica and Stephanie, Rolanda and Kathy Perry?
Those weren't made to be fun games. Those were like knockdown, drag out. We're going to win these games.
Yes, and
that was a competitive group.
It was a very competitive group, and we were competitive, but again, we were laid back in the giggles. Tia played, Kent, Allison Kent played.
Yep.
Dee.
Yep. Danielle.
She played. Danielle. Paula played with us 1 year. Paula Willis. But anyway, something would transform when we get on the field. Really. I mean, it was like all business. And it was knockdown, drag out, and it was a good game. Like, do you remember sometimes how many people were in the stands watching? It was like...
There was a lot. I mean, for women's league?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, grown women competing like they were in high school.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But you'd feel it the next
Kathy
day.
Perry. We played against Kathy Perry.
Ooh. Oh, my gracious.
Penny.
Penny, yes. My goodness. I remember when I was pregnant with Davis, and he was born in March, and when we were playing that fall, it was a tournament, and I hadn't told anybody that I was pregnant, but the doctor said, nope, he's in the safest spot he'll ever be, and of course I pitched, and at the beginning of one of the games, I had told y'all that I was expecting, and so we were all excited and everything, and we were playing Rosa Seafood, and Kathy Perry came over to me and she bopped me in the head. And I was like, what was that for? And she said, how am I supposed to hit now? Because I was on the pitcher's mound. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I know you're pregnant. How am I supposed to hit the ball up the middle? Because she would, daggone, she would tater the ball. And I was like, I didn't tell you for that. And in my mind, I was thinking, ooh, that's like a good thing.
Blessing in disguise.
I hadn't thought about that. But we had some good times. So you played women's league for a while. Now you're coaching.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's a totally different aspect, but it's fun.
It's fun. It's challenging because the kids are different.
And I want to touch on that too. We can either touch on it now or if you want to come back to it, we can. What do you mean? Because I see it too.
Well, I think part of it is there's not a lot of kids that are just getting in the yard playing.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have that desire to be the best. Like being good enough is good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a different breed than us.
It's totally different.
I mean, I was telling somebody at basketball practice yesterday, it feels like softball has almost ruined every other sport in Carteret County because we have a pool of a very small number of athletes who do softball year round.
Mm-hmm.
So come basketball season, these other schools have kids that are only playing basketball. You can see a difference.
Yeah.
Yep. But like even with softball and those kids that are playing year round, they're getting really good at one thing.
Yeah.
And it's just different.
Yeah, very different. So different. We used to play outside. We used to be outside. We used to pick up a ball and a bat and we'd make up games. We would do these things all the time.
We played before Bayview Drive was paved.
Mm-hmm.
That we had a neighborhood full of probably 10 kids, I'll say, boys and girls. And that's what we would do.
Mm-hmm.
you'd get a bat and a ball and you'd hit it in the middle of the street, or we'd take our bikes and go to the ball field because it wasn't far. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple miles and you were on a ball field.
Mm-hmm. And
Kids
didn't
don't-
think twice.
Kids don't do that now.
No, they do not do that
They
now.
touch a ball of whatever sport that is during that season, except for here and softball.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, even before when travel was really taken off and there wasn't a travel ball team around here, there were some Down East girls that would travel far, like would go to Pamlico and play. They would come to Kinston and play because that's when Darcy was starting and going through.
See, that's even after me.
Yeah, that was even after you.
I don't remember. I remember us having Babe Ruth. We didn't do travel softball.
Right. Right.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't a thing. But Babe Ruth would have, think about those girls if travel had been a thing, because Barbara would have had you right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been something. But yeah, it's not the same. I'm a teacher still, and even in the classroom, the kids aren't the same. Everything is too easy and too quick and they don't want to work at stuff if they've got to do something.
Work ethic is a thing of the past for most kids these days.
And that is extremely sad in so many ways, not just on the ball field, but also think about later, like their life, like when they get in the real world. Yeah, it's sad.
I mean, that's where most of us learned work ethic with sports.
That's right. That's how we worked, that team working together. And I mean, there were some times that I remember you girls going at it, and putting each other in their place. And
it was accountability.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call it anyway.
We'll call it accountability. But, Daryl and I would step back and let it happen because it needed to happen. Y'all were saying what we were thinking, sometimes what we said to you too, but it needed to be said. And then you'd work through it and you'd be closer because of it.
Well, we wanted to win. Nowadays, I feel like, I don't know if it's a travel ball mentality. I hate to say it that way, but it feels like it's okay to lose. Because if you lose in travel ball, you get in a lower bracket and you can still come home with a medal.
Yep.
We didn't have that. You either won or you went home. You were done.
Yeah. They started that when we were getting out of it. And Darcy hated that. She was like, don't say that you won because you won 3 brackets below us. You
won one game all day long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we play travel ball, so I'm sitting here saying this, but I mean, we do it.
But it's been watered down.
But I think
big time.
Nowadays you almost have to do it.
Because think about it, if you took that away, yeah.
If you want to keep up, you've got to do it.
Yep, you sure do. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, I do want to touch a little bit on too. You were the softball commissioner for a little while.
President,
is that what it's called now?
Yes.
Okay.
Of the Down East Girls Softball League.
President of the Down East Softball League. So how long did you do that? And
2 years, and that was plenty.
2 years. That seems very. It seems like a big job.
It is very time consuming.
So
what
does it entail?
So basically, you're just the president of this league. There's 5 leagues in our district. We're District 5 for Eastern North Carolina. So we play Swansboro, Havelock, Newport, Western Carteret. Pamlico is in our conference. And you just work with the other leagues for scheduling purposes. We typically have at least 2 teams in every age group.
Wow.
So
wow.
We do 6, 8s, 10s, 12s. 14s, and it's been a couple of years since we had a 16 group.
Wow, that's telling too, isn't it? So you now are coaching or helping coach also. Like you're not the president anymore, but you're still.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to start a new season for rec. But yeah, we're still doing our thing.
And you're doing travel ball too.
Doing travel ball too. I'm telling you.
And of course, not just softball. You do basketball and volleyball and yeah. So do you know if you're coming or going?
No, I don't. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know what practice I'm going to. There's just it's kind of like the kids. We have a small pool of kids. We have a small pool of coaches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you're a coach, you're typically doing more than one thing.
More than one thing.
And it's not just me.
Yeah.
I mean, Miranda Gilligan, she's coaching volleyball at East Carteret. She's coaching rec basketball right now for her kids. She's coaching rec softball.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the board for the Down East Girls Softball League.
Yeah.
I mean, you usually have a group, a handful, that's doing it all.
So if you're listening and you're willing to help,
Volunteer.
Please volunteer. Please, please, please.
Please volunteer.
Oh, my goodness. All right. And one other thing I definitely want to mention is something that happened year before last, I think, for you. You were inducted into the Hall of Fame
At East Carteret.
at East Carteret. How did that all come about? What went on with that?
I'm going to name drop, but I think it was Allison Struck. So they have to, I think the way it works is they have to nominate and they write up, a justification, and then it's voted on by a board. I don't know if it's school employees. I don't know if it's athletic boosters or whatever it is, but
somebody.
And then you're chosen.
Then you're chosen.
You're the chosen one.
You do know that if you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, that means you're old.
I would agree with that 100%.
I'm just teasing you. Just teasing you. You're still a baby.
I don't know about that.
Well, I congratulate you on
Thank
that.
you.
Very
Thank
proud of you for that. Yeah.
It was a big deal. I was super excited.
Yeah.
Sports has always been the biggest part of my life. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Been a huge, huge part. And still is.
Yeah.
Yep. Still is. Well, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to mention?
I don't know.
Aren't you so glad you did this?
I don't know about that either.
If you know Leanne, then you know this was very much out of her comfort zone. So I appreciate very much, and I'm saying this sincerely, I really do. I appreciate you coming this morning and sharing your time with us and your expertise and memories. And it's been good. We're blessed, aren't we, to live around here?
We are.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the community support, it's there for whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
So I don't know that I want to do it anywhere else.
No, I think we're good, right? Well, thank you. And next time I call, you still better answer. Don't start screening your calls when you see my number.
I've never told you no. I told you I probably never will.
I love you.
Love you.
To the moon and back.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us again to The Landing. This podcast is brought to you by the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum and Heritage Center. I am your host, Stacy Davis Basden, and today's podcast was produced by April Davidson. Tune in again next week as we continue remembering, sharing, and learning together. Until then, stay safe and be kind.